There we go. You are on, Mr. Chris.
All right. Good to be with you guys. Okay, so welcome everyone to our Q&A today. We have lots of stuff to go over. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes, but before we get started, can you guys see me okay? And can you hear me okay? Why don't you guys jump into chat? Let me know here real quick. All right, Bill, Scott, Cheryl. All right, super. All right, hope you guys are having a good holiday so far, ramping up to Christmas and New Year's. Should be really fun. It's great to have you guys all on. All right, we have a bunch of people that are jumping on now too. All right. So we have some stuff in store today. One thing that we want to do, we just, there's a bunch of new people who just jumped on in the last week or two. And what we want to do is have like a Q&A to talk in general about how it works, maybe the structure, things about the system that are not maybe readily apparent that we should probably cover. So John and I were talking about some different topics that we could talk about, and we thought that a Q&A would be a great way to address this. And so we're going to be kind of all over the place, but hopefully we can address a lot of things that that are most important about the system in a couple of different categories, like how to set up your projects properly, how to choose your keywords, how to set up your account, how the devices run, and maybe some things that are happening with the different devices, things like that. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right in, and maybe I can start talking just in general about some updates real quick before we get started with the Q&A. So we are recording this, and so just to let you guys know, we will have we'll have the replay up on the training site in just a little while after we get done here. So if we go fast through this stuff, you can go back and you can rewatch that again. All right, super. So one thing that we want to do is we wanted to give you guys an update. So we have a couple of different builds that are coming out here very soon. We published in a new Android version yesterday, but we're waiting for that to propagate on Google. For some reason, Google is behind. We haven't really seen this before, but it's like, I don't know why, but they're behind, and so they haven't, it hasn't shown up on the Play Store yet, even though it shows that it should be. So we're just kind of waiting for it to kind of catch up to itself. Maybe they're having some problems on their side, but keep an eye out for that. So that's been published, and we're just waiting for that to kind of hit the Play Store. We published that yesterday. The second thing is that we expect either today, hopefully today, to come out with the new Mac version. So we've rewritten the Mac marketing assistant from the ground up, and we had to do that because Apple came out with like a bunch of new security stuff. I don't know if you guys, whoever your Mac users are, if you guys have updated to the Mac OS Mojave, which is the 10.14.6 version. It came with a whole lot of security stuff. It's like, I was kind of dysfunctional for about 2 weeks. It's like that. It's so secure you can't even use your own stuff. And so what it did is it completely annihilated our entire system. So we had to kind of start over from scratch and kind of rebuild it. So we've done that, and we should be releasing that today. We've been testing that over the last week, and it's really solid. So we're hoping that'll overcome some of the problems that a few of you were having. Mostly it's been working. Hold on a second. Mostly it's been working well. But in a few circumstances, it hasn't been working right. So hopefully this will fix all of those issues. So those are the two big updates that we're having today for the new assistants. Windows has been working like a champ. It's been working great, and so we're really excited about that. Maybe I can just cover one more thing here real quick, because I still get a lot of questions. I answered 4 different people yesterday saying, hey, I have the iPhone installed and an iPad installed, and it's not working. So for all of you who have had those installed from the past, we spent a lot of time and effort to get that running on iPhone. We had to jump through a lot of hoops to get that going. We actually built it 4 different times to get that working. And about 2 months after it was working, Apple shut down the ability to run all background processes. Now, that wasn't something that they did to us. They did it to the entire world. And so Facebook and Instagram and lots of gaming systems, scheduling systems, they're completely wiped out. And so we don't know why Apple chose to do this. We have some suspicions that they're just trying to save on battery time, because background processes use battery. And so anyway, they took it out, and you can't even do it even with their permission. So we're hoping that they're going to step back a little bit and say, okay, we'll allow this, but they have to give permission when you install the app, so they know that you're going to run things in the background. That's what Android does. And so for right now, they've completely cut everyone off, and everybody's in an outrage. So we're basically nobody, so our voice is not heard. But there's big companies like Blizzard and Facebook and things like that that are really pressuring Apple to change this so that we can run things in the background. So as soon as that gets changed around on Apple side, we will go through and re-release the iPhone version. But for right now, we can't support it because Apple clobbered it. So so iPhone is off the table for right now. So that's an update on that. All right, welcome back, John.
I guess I had to unmute there. Yeah,
There you go.
sorry about that. I had to run out there and take care of something going on in the back there. But anyway, very cool. We got quite a few people on here today, so that's good. Yeah, I saw some questions about iPhone. iPhone, like Chris said, is kind of off the table right now. Did you hit all the stuff that you've commonly been seeing in the support?
No, we just went over the updates, and that was it so far.
Okay, perfect. So some of the stuff we want to cover today is the stuff we've been seeing on a regular basis over and over and over. We're going to be updating all those common questions in our Q&A. So that way you guys don't have to wait for an answer. The answers should all be there because all the questions are pretty much the same. You know, there's a handful of questions, and you know they come in similar varieties, but it's the same question, the same answer. So we're going to update the Q&A for you guys. So from now on, if you have a question, if you're running into something, please check the Q&A first before you put in a ticket, because we wind up spending all of our time answering the same question over and over.
Well, there's two reasons why you want to do that too. One of them is so you can get your answer, but the second one is so you can look for questions and proactively learn the program through other questions that were asked, because there's some really good questions out there that you should probably know. And it just takes, and it's not like there's a jillion of them. It's just there's probably a handful. And as you go through, we kind of encourage you to read all those just so that you can learn more about the system through the Q&A process.
Yeah, definitely. And SEO in general, there seems to be a lot of people that have jumped into this from other platforms and kind of wanting to get on the SEO bandwagon. And guys, SEO is a very big subject. It's like there's a lot to know about SEO. I've been doing SEO training with a very large group of people for many, many years. And there's a lot of facets to it, but you can kind of break it down into 3 buckets at this point. It's on page. You've got to have your content right. You've got to have your site where if somebody hits it, they are engaged and they stay. Because here's the thing. This is kind of a fake it till you make it type of program, as in all SEO. The object is to get a whole bunch of real users on to buy your stuff, right? So when we send the signals, we're doing the ultimate job in the beginning of sending the signals for you. What that does is it gets Google to put you up so other real traffic comes your way. Not to say ours isn't real traffic, because it is. It's coming off real devices, but our devices are not going to buy your stuff. Okay, it's going to be the people that Google actually sends from listing you high. That's where you're going to make your money. So that being said, if we do a spectacular job, we get you ranked, then Google starts sending you real customers and they don't buy and they don't like your site and they bounce off, you're going to be defeating the purpose. We're sending you good signals and then you're going to be creating bad ones. So you're on page, getting your site dialed in is job number 1. Next is not only the look of the site and the user experience, but having the right tags, you know, having your title tags and all that stuff proper, figuring out what do you actually want to rank for and build content that's worthy of that ranking. You know, that should be your primary concern in SEO. Next is making it look popular. That comes with off-page optimization like link building. That's the old school stuff, and it still works. It's still very much in play. And when you add us on top, when you add the site pop on top and you start sending these signals, you basically are throwing a match on a dynamite keg. It's like, that's what it's all about. So I just want you guys to be very clear on that. There's also, I've been fielding a lot of questions about the agency stuff. How do you sell it? How do you do it? How do you run an agency? All that stuff. I may revive a program that I used to do several years ago that I called our reseller program. And what it was a training program based for resellers. It was resellers that were selling our commercial SEO services. And I got in there and trained them how to do that, how to run an agency, how to sell the stuff. Because that is kind of an art. You know, a lot of people, they jump in, they want to get in business and they don't have any business skills. They don't have any sales skills. It's not hard. It's just a conversation. You just need to know how to guide the conversation. So I can help you guys with that stuff. So that's a key factor if you're going to want to do this. I know a lot of people bought the agency and it's a phenomenal opportunity. I don't know of anywhere else where you can buy a product for $4 and sell it for $100 and have it work. I mean, it's crazy the opportunity that's at your feet to run an agency with this. It's very easy to sell that stuff. I've created that funnel for you guys. It's a really basic funnel with the premise of it's not a full SEO package. It's not a full SEO service. Most people are used to paying $500 or more for a monthly ongoing SEO service. Problem with most of those small businesses is they can't justify it. They can't afford it. It's too much. So here you can offer them a $97 a month package that will boost their SEO. So you package it as an SEO boost service and sell it. That has been very effective. I know several people like Jimena, I think she's almost maxed out her agency account already.
Yeah, she's on fire.
Yeah, and she's doing it just that way. I showed her how to do it, and it works. It's an SEO boost service for $97 that will take what you've spent all that money on and it'll actually make it work for them. People love that. It's an affordable way to get something done. And the other thing I do is when I sell that or when I pitch that or whatever you want to call it, I tell them it's only if you qualify. It's kind of like a takeaway. This is a classic sales technique. You're actually taking it off the table. It makes them want it even more when they say, oh my God, how do I qualify? When they say something like that or they think that, they are leaning forward like, I got to have this thing. You've created that sense of urgency with that. And that's what the marketing funnel does that I created for you guys. It says, you know, here's the thing, here's what it does. Get you more leads, more sales, more traffic, all the stuff they desperately want and need. And it says, if you qualify. It's like, whoa, why wouldn't I qualify? I want this thing. What do I have to do to qualify? It creates that buzz. So that makes it really, I mean, that puts the power in your hands. When you can do that, that's what a really good salesperson does. And I'll tell you right now, the only difference between a bad salesperson and a good salesperson is they know how to do that. They know how to create demand and desire, eliminate objections, and make a compelling offer that they can't refuse. And that's pretty much what that funnel does for you. So it's set up in a really good sequence. It's also set up in a way that it's like a risk reversal. You're saying if you don't qualify, there's no charge. In fact, you'll get a free consultation and some free advice out of the deal. So what I do when someone buys that, they go to the thank you page in the funnel, gives them a link to my scheduler so they can schedule a 15-minute consultation with me. That's where you're going to qualify them. You pull up SEMrush or a similar product or program, whatever you like to work with, and you just take a look. If they're not ranking at all, probably not a good match. Because remember, it's an SEO boost service. You can't boost nothing. If they don't rank in the top 100 listings for anything, I'm not going to say this wouldn't work, because it might, but it's not a good fit. It's like expectations are key. Whenever you sell a service to an end user, whether it be a business or a consumer, it doesn't matter. There's expectations there. If you sell them something, they're going to expect that it works. And if you're going to sell them something that you know chances are it's going to take a long time or it's not going to work at all, that's a bad idea.
So John, let's talk on that for just one more second, because I think this is really a good point.
Sure.
Is when you're checking out your keywords, if you don't rank for your keyword in the top 100, that's okay, because new websites don't, right? But if you can't rank for your keyword and your company name together, you have a huge problem. And so here's how you overcome that problem. You start doing some linking and you ping Google on those links. And what it'll do is it'll go there and it'll find your website on the other pages, get some, some good backlinks that are out there. And then Google will find you, and then they'll index your site, and then all of a sudden you'll show up. And this happens very quickly. It doesn't take a long time to do this. This is not a 3-month process. This is like a 3-day process that will happen. So it's very easy to prime that pump and get you so that at least when you're typing in your keyword and your company name, that you show up in the top 100 somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and you should be on page 1. If you're not on page 1, even from the get-go with your company name and the keyword, you might want to reconsider something.
Yeah. And we're recording this so you guys can come back and listen, because what Chris just told you is that's exactly what you would tell the client, because you're giving them a free consultation. It's really easy stuff. And also what it does, think about this product. What you want to do in any business, you want to get people hooked on you, right? It's like drugs. You want your user hooked. This is a gateway drug. This is like your sample. This is what hooks them. You can sell them all kinds of other services once you get them hooked. So there's nothing better to get somebody hooked than a low-cost item that has huge value and it actually works. And that's what you guys have here.
That's right.
So it's like the perfect product for any agency, whether you're starting or whether you've been around for a long time. Because if you've been around for a long time, you probably have a lot of people that you couldn't close because maybe they couldn't afford it. This is a way to get them hooked again.
Yeah.
So you can really, really scale things up. The next thing I want to talk about is a lot of you guys have wanted to buy devices in quantity. And I get it, because I've been doing the same thing. And I've found that I can go online. I don't know about the UK. I live in the US. I'm here in California. And I know these devices are a dime a dozen here now. I've been hearing reports it's hard to get Android devices in the UK, and I don't know the reality of that. I don't know if they can't ship them or what the deal is, but I know here in the US, I can speak from personal experience. I can walk into a Target store or a Walmart store and I can buy these right off the shelf for $24.95 all day long. They do have a limit of 2 per transaction. But here's the deal. Talk to the person behind the desk. All they got to do is ring you up multiple times. I bought 14 of them the other day at Walmart, and they just rang me up 7 times. It took a little while.
They don't care. They're there to sell stuff.
Exactly. So they just have some kind of corporate restriction that they can only put 2 in the register at the same time. So just talk to them, tell them what you're doing. Say, hey, I'm buying these for my company. I need, 10 phones. They'll do it for you. Also, Target online, they have a model, and I believe it's an LX1, a track phone, $19.95, and you can buy up to 10 of them right now.
Nice.
So I've used those. I've used. In fact, here's a box. There's one, the TCL LX.
That's the one that I have too, the TCL LX.
Yeah, so these work perfectly. You can buy them anywhere from $20 to $24.95.
And they're seriously great phones. I don't know why people pay
Yeah.
$1,000 for their Android. What after I've used this?
Here's another one. Same exact phone, just packaged under Total Wireless.
Yeah.
Exact same phone. I've got like 5 different boxes with the same phone in them.
Hmm. They made those in mass.
Yeah, yeah. And and here's what I do. You get with every phone that you buy, you get a little card that comes with it with the stuff. So I put a code. See, it says TF1 there. I put that's track phone 1. So I've got track phone 1 through 20, let's say. So I write it on there, and then I write the name of the Gmail user that I created for that phone. So it keeps it straight. It's right here. I don't forget it. I use the same password on all the users I set up, so I don't have to think what was the password. And then I have a label maker, and I make these little labels and just stick it on the back of the phone. So if the phone goes offline, I know right which phone to go to restart it or kick it back in gear. Because that's one of the things I gotta tell you, I've got like 25 of these things sitting right next to me. And I look every morning to make sure that they're all connected and online. And there's a couple of them. I don't know what the difference is, but there's a couple of them I almost have to touch on a daily basis. It's almost like I got a lemon out of the deal. So just know that there's some phones that for whatever reason, they're flaky. And I don't know what
You
the
mean a
difference is.
$19 phone is flaky?
Imagine that. But anyway, like,
Most of the time they work pretty good though.
yeah, exactly. That was my whole point. But just understand that when the phone is flaky, that doesn't mean our system is flaky. It just means you need to reconnect it so the system sees it. And just know that there's some of them that do that. So
Hey,
it
John, could you just take a minute and I'm going to answer a couple questions, but can you bring up the membership area and show them how to set the phones
sure,
using the developer mode to make them stay on while they're plugged in?
sure. Let me dig that up
So
here.
while you're digging that up, let me explain why that's important and what it does. So we have some instructions. It's real simple. It's like 4 button clicks, maybe 6. But basically what it does is it goes in and it sets up a developer mode. And then there's a setting in there that'll say stay on all the time when it's plugged in. Because as a developer, you're sitting there working back and forth. And if you keep shutting down, it's super irritating. So they built into the phone the ability to stay on and so that it's like literally like on like a computer. It doesn't go to sleep and things like that. We found that that helps out like big time. I have that on my phone, and I only have one Android phone because all of my customers run the devices. John has a little bit different situation because he and I we share some customers who for testing and other purposes we just kind of run it for them to relieve the hassle on their side. But everybody has different circumstances, so it just depends on what you want to do there. But I just don't like to have banks of phones around, so I just make my customers do it, and they actually really enjoy doing it. In fact, every month when I talk to them, they're like, "We love running these things because we never see them, and we like being able to participate in helping our own keywords rank." Is the kind of like the overwhelming message that I get from them is that they like to do what they can, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, the only reason I've got 25 of them over here is I've got one particular customer that I'm really, really wanting to impress, and I want to make sure those things are hooked up all the time.
Yeah.
So
And it's so
I'm,
worth it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm making
Good
sure
job,
that
people.
that happens. There's also some other customers that, hey, they've only got one phone. They don't want to put it on their computer, so I just plug one in for them, and it's cool.
Yeah, because some places they have IT departments, and the IT departments won't let you put anything on the computers. Period.
Yeah,
Even if it's like Adobe Acrobat, you can't do it.
yeah,
And so in those
especially
cases,
law
we
offices.
totally understand, and you just can't do it. So
Yeah, especially law and medical offices because they've got
yeah,
compliance.
some business offices too, like in the financial world, they're very restrictive as well.
So let me show you what Chris was talking about. You go to the login area here, and you guys should have gotten this login. If you don't, let us know. We'll get that for you. But you log in here, and you get this when you first sign up, so you should have it.
And you can get to it through where it says training on the site pop. This is the link that is in the training there. So
yeah, so anyway, we've got the Q&A we were talking about, so you can go there. But here's a tab called Managing Multiple Devices. And that has the information that Chris was just talking about, building a bank of phones. There's my little rack I got sitting right next to me here, or one of them. And there's my labels. So I've got this thing really clean, really organized, really cool. And then I can see, like when one goes offline, I know that's TCL5. I just go pick it up, touch it, boom, it's hooked back up. No big deal. But here is what Chris was talking about, how to keep the screen awake. If you've got phones that keep going offline, this might help. This could do it. And it just walks you right through. There's the settings button. Every Android has this. You just sweep down on the top and you can see that little button. And then you go to the developer options and just turn that dude on. That's it, right, Chris?
Well, there's one more step. So if you scroll down a little bit more, then there's one option in the developer section.
Oh, gotcha.
A day a week.
Okay.
So that's all that there is to it.
Yep. And if you want,
4 clicks.
and if you want an easier one, this one of our users just sent this in the other day. She said there's an app called No Screen Off.
Oh, sweet.
And all you have to do is just download it, click the button, No Screen Off, and that screen stays lit up. So I'm testing that. I have one sitting there, and it's been running for 24 hours, and the screen hasn't gone off.
There you
And
go.
I don't really care because I've got them plugged in all the time, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's it. That is under the tab called Managing Multiple Devices. Under the bonus section, a lot of people want to know where the funnel is, where the marketing funnel is I was talking about. I have it 2 flavors here. If you guys need a really robust system, Kartra is awesome. That's what we use. That's what this membership site is built in. All of our front end, all of our sales is done on Kartra. And there's a free Kartra funnel here. You get a Kartra account, and then you go in and you use this import code in the done for you section, and you can import the entire funnel. It's got everything. You just basically connect your PayPal address and take money. And I've got a video tutorial that walks you through how to do that. It's really simple. And for those of you that are WordPress guys and you want a free one, here's the WordPress version. We just copied all the copy out of the funnel from Kartra and put it into WordPress. These are the pages. If you want to see the pages and just rebuild it your own, you can do that too. There's the opt-in page, the order page. This is the thank you page for the order, where it gives you the consult I was telling you about, where you can connect it to a free Calendly calendar, and you can schedule appointments where you can qualify them, make sure they qualify, have your consultation, maybe sell them other stuff if you want to do that. And then once they schedule that, it takes them to the actual thank you page. So that's all of that is in the bonus section. So that's where you find that. The Q&A that we were referring to right here. This video, this Q&A video will be up here. There's a couple of them from the past. These are kind of out of date. Some of the stuff has changed now. So if you're looking at the old ones, there's really good information in there, but you should refer to the most current one for all the updates and all the new stuff. So, and then the Q&A, we're going to be adding to this, but a lot of your questions could be answered right here. So really,
and over the next couple of days, I'll be updating all this too. So yeah, so keep an eye out maybe early next week, and it should be all up to date.
Yeah, and then this video here, I probably need to redo this. This is a best practice video. Still a lot of really good applicable stuff in here, but you know, we've over the last couple of months, this thing has really evolved, and it's gotten bigger and better. So I should go through and just redo this. So I'll probably schedule to do that here pretty quick. There's a couple more Q&A videos in there as well based on best practices. some of the stuff in these videos also talks about the reseller opportunity, how to run an agency and do this stuff. And then this points you back over to your back-end control panel, and this also does. This is download the apps. It just sends you back there. There's one depository for the apps, so that way they're all up to date. So anyway, that's pretty much the back end. You guys should be in here learning and getting up to speed on this, because this is a phenomenal program. Chris has also built some stuff in the back end so we can monitor progress and kind of share with you what people are doing. And you know, one of the biggest things that gets you the biggest bang for your buck here, quite honestly, is the fact that you can connect your brand to keywords that you didn't even rank for before. And it brings other various keywords up that are similar and related in nature, and you start ranking for a ton of keywords that you didn't rank for ever before. So that is super powerful. It's not just about the keywords that you're pointing this at, it's all of your keywords.
So John, let's talk about that real quick, just so that they can have an idea of the magnitude of this. Okay. So we had one of you guys reached out. I don't remember exactly who it was, but they said, hey, I've been marketing 5 keywords. So they're marketing 5 keywords. It was for a dentist, a local dentist. And they said within the last 30 days, we have 184 keywords that are now ranking in the top 10 positions. 184 because they're marketing 5. And out of those, I think 60 of them were on page 1.
Yeah, it's crazy.
60 keywords, and they were legit keywords like family dentist, then the city name, dentist city name, friendly dentist city name, like all the biggest, baddest keywords for that area.
Yeah,
it's not like big long tail keywords. I mean, these were like all the money keywords were these keywords kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
now that site it had all the other stuff going for it though.
That's right.
That was not a new site. It wasn't a thin site. It was a good site. So it had a good base. Another site, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about the big hit that we made.
Yeah, the Mezzo one.
That's phenomenal. That blew my mind.
How about if you let me share my screen? I'll show some screenshots on that.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so in fact, I'm going to share part of a presentation that I did yesterday.
Okay, cool.
What I'm going to do is I want to share with you guys a cheat sheet for 2020. So I just put a link into the chat section right there. Can you guys see that? It says SEO cheat sheet 2020.
Yep, it showed up.
I created this cheat sheet yesterday, and in fact, I share up my screen.
Oh wait, let me send it out. You just sent it to the panelists. That's why I could see it. I'll send it to everybody.
All panelists and attendees. Okay, cool. So while he's doing that, let me bring this up real quick.
There you go. Now everybody's got it.
Okay, let me share out my screen. Okay, can you guys see the cheat sheet right here for local businesses? Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to scroll through this real quick. So basically, this is basically just like 7 things that will help you rank for local keywords. Now, we can also rank for national, but these are for local keywords in, during 2020. So this is like the trends that are happening. Now, the number one, the biggest trend that we see happening is what we're talking about right now, which is the behavioral signals, or natural search is what we're doing. So basically, what people do make the most difference in Google's algorithm right now. So we cover this first. I'll let you read this. I'm not going to go through it line by line. But basically, the next one right here is to have meaty, relevant data. And what I mean by meaty is like it needs to be like thick steak kind of meaty. And so I break down right here, you have to have a minimum of these pages to rank on Google. You need to have an index page, an about us page, a contact us page. These are kind of required by Google. You need to have at least 3 content pages so that it doesn't fall under the thin content penalty.
Yeah, can I throw one thing in there while you're on this piece?
Yeah.
If your contact page doesn't have any contact information, there's just a form, there's no phone number, there's no address, Do not hide. If you're a real business, you don't hide. So that's just a sign of a scammer for Google. That's one of the things they look at. And there is something, I actually talked to somebody from in the belly of the beast, and he told me, this is somebody that works in Google. He said their manual reviews, if they ever manually review your site, the first page they will look at is your About Us page. And they said there's an image they're looking for that will absolutely make your site immune to a penalty. And the image is a picture of the business owner.
Yeah.
If you have a picture of the business owner on the About Us
That's your
page,
get out of jail free card. That one picture.
yeah, they just say, cool, the site's cool, and they move on.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, then they start digging. And you don't want them digging.
That's right. Because
So I just
like
wanted to throw that.
the cop can find something wrong no matter what your car condition is in. They can find something wrong and ticket you for it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. They have so many different criteria. They will find something wrong and you'll be penalized for it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in while you're here. So, okay, cool.
No, that's great. That's super great. Now, page optimization. Let's talk about this just for a second. Then we have a bunch of other questions we're going to get into. So I'm not ignoring you guys. We'll answer all your questions. On-page optimization is really simple now. In this right here, there's a page optimization link right here. This is what I use. And it's basically software. I've written this software before, but I chose not to keep it up to date. So I kind of like threw it away because these guys do a really good job of it. And I think it's called Page Optimization Pro or something like that. But just click on this link right here. And for like $10, you can get in there and get yourself an account. It's super cheap and it's super valuable. What it does is it goes out there and it takes your 10 biggest competitors and it reverse engineers your keyword density, how many times the keyword is on the page, all the H1 tags, all the different places that you need to optimize. And it creates an algorithm based on the top 10 competitors. And then basically it'll tell you what you need to change to be better than all of them. And then you just follow, it's just like a checklist. And so you just kind of do what the checklist says and you're done. So that's how difficult on-page optimization is. Literally you just put in the keyword, the page you want to rank for that keyword, and then it just tells you what to do. And then you just give it to your webmaster and he'll do it. Mobile-friendly websites, just make sure it's responsive. I put in some things in here on how to find good plugins for WordPress to make it AMP responsive. AMP just makes it go fast. Then the loading speed of your website, it's still part of the optimization side. Just make it fast. There's algorithms out there that check to see if you're fast or not, because fast equals a good user experience. I talk about voice search right here, which is really important. Voice search is basically longer, more conversational keywords. So I talk about that a little bit. And then the SEO linking. This is super, super important. You can't get away with not linking at all. Now, the cool thing is that you don't have to link that much anymore. You just have to have some pretty good links out there and just kind of add to it every once in a while. And what I recommend is, here's some sites that I've used in the past. The Hoth, PosiRank, they've done a good job for me. There's probably, another dozen sites out there that do really good, high quality links out there they're so good that you're like proud to show it to your customer, kind of good. So they'll write an article, they'll post an article on a really good, legit website, and then that article links back to your money page. And what you want to do is you want to get 10 to 15 high quality guest post links right here. And what I mean by high quality is it needs to have a DA score of between 30 and 50. So if you don't understand what DA means, don't worry about it. Just look for when you order it. It'll say, what popularity you want. And you'll pay more for the higher ones. But just get like 10 to 12 links there, and then, you're probably good. And that's it. So those are the 7 things right there that you need to pay attention to in 2020 when you're ranking for local keywords. Now, national is a little bit different. Let me show you the results that we were just talking about a keyword called mesothelioma. So let me unshare this and share out a different one here real quick. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know that, that's like a $1 million keyword. It's a asbestos cancer. And
I know people who are charging between $30,000 and $50,000 a month to do SEO for that one keyword.
Yeah, and the reason for it is if If you have an attorney and they can find somebody that has that, it's worth $1 million to them because the lawsuit's already won. All they have to do is present a new one and it's a done deal. So it's like free money raining from the sky for them.
All right, give me 1 second to find out where my presentation is.
And we just watched that movie last night, Dark Waters.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's about a company, DuPont. Basically, they lost a lawsuit. So anyone in perpetuity in the future that comes down with the disease, they owe them like $2 million. Just no brainer, no
Yeah,
loss.
my grandpa died from this. It's basically asbestos can cause this, and it basically gives you cancer of the lungs because the asbestos is just, it's basically just kind of like a glass filament or like a fiberglass filament that gets in your lungs and it can never get out. So it just festers and festers until it turns into cancer.
Yeah. Also, can we post this this guide up for them in the bonus section?
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's absolutely do that. I just finished it yesterday, so it's brand spanking new. So if you guys see any problems as far as like typos and stuff, please let me know so we can get that updated. Appreciate
Perfect.
that. I literally didn't even have it copyrighted. I mean, I'm sorry, proofread because I was in such a hurry to get it out. So it's probably not the best thing. But all right, let me share this out here real quick because I think you guys would like to see this.
Okay, we're still seeing the PDF.
I know. I can't find the right screen for. Here we go. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to. So here's the first one we were talking about. So first of all, these are all the new listings that were not in the top 50 of Google in the last 30 days. So basically this is the one, remember we were talking about how they're marketing 5 keywords. Look at all these keywords that they now rank for. I mean, look at all these right here. Kids best dentistry, dentist for kids, pediatric dental checkups, my kids DDS, kids hometown dental care, children dentist near me. And it just goes on and on and on. So there's, I think what it was is there's 217 that are ranking right now, but in the top 10 listings, there is 184. So anyway, that's pretty cool. So let me show you this other one. I'll have to find it here because we have a bunch of results. Is that it? Nope. Okay, here it is. So here's mesothelioma right here. So basically, again, this is like a massively lucrative keyword right here. Check out what this person did using SitePop to help them out. So right here on the top left, you can see, I'm going to make this full screen because I know it's kind of smaller. On the left side right here, you can see pleural mesothelioma right here. So it's in both lungs, right? I think that's what it means. So they went from page 14 to page 1, and they pegged at page 1. So that's a great keyword. Here's even a better keyword right here, mesothelioma prognosis. Started at page 12 and then bounced to page 1. Here's another one, page 11 to page 1. And then look, here's the biggest, baddest one of them all. Look at this right here. They started on page 4. They were bouncing around. Now they're up on page 1 for the keyword mesothelioma, multi-million-dollar keyword. So they went in the 40s to the 10s. And this is only a matter of what? This is September, October, November. Couple of months. Not too bad, right? For 10 bucks. Actually, it was $30, so it's 10 bucks a month for 3 months. So 30 bucks to get a multi-million-dollar keyword. Not too shabby. All right. So let's jump into some other questions here real quick, because there were some really good questions that I wanted to cover. So one is, Wi-Fi is okay. Is it even okay if they keep hitting from the same IP address? So basically, the way that works is if they all come from the same IP address, you look like a company. So like when I worked at Intel, Intel had hundreds and hundreds of employees where I was working at. And all of us hit the internet from the same IP address because we all had the same um, um, basically external IP address that we all came from the router that connected to the internet, right? So that's what companies do, is they all kind of have the same IP address. So that's what it looks like, is that there's a bunch of people that are connected. Maybe you're a store, maybe you're a business, and there's lots of employees that are hitting the internet, that kind of thing. So yeah, don't sweat it if it's all coming off the same IP. Now, it's not ideal because we need to have as many random IPs as possible. If everybody does banks of Android phones, then we're not going to have a very diverse IP, and it's going to kind of work against us. So I sort of discourage having banks of phones if you can avoid it. If you can have your clients do this, that's what this is built for, because it comes off of real people's phones that they're using to do other types of searches on other than this, right? So it's best to have it on real phones, real computers, but if you have to, then buy additional phones. The next question that Chris had was, does this app have to be visibly running? And no, it doesn't have to be visibly running, but we find that it works better if it's just sitting on a table, that things kind of go right. Now, there's two things at play here. Like, if you buy a phone and you set it on the table, it's the only app that's going to be running. So it's going to throw errors that say, we've noticed that there's one app that's draining your battery. And it's because there's only one app that's running. So it has really nothing really other to compare it against. And so it seems like it's really draining your battery, even though it's draining it at like 1% kind of a thing. It's because that's the highest one they have. So you're going to have those issues that start coming up. So by keeping it on, it will still have those errors that come up. Not really errors, but just like warnings that say, hey, there's something that's draining your battery. But it'll keep running. So yeah, use the process that we just talked about to do that. So updates to the software, is it automatic or manually updated? So basically that depends on your phone. I think you can automatically have all your apps update. So I would recommend kind of setting to auto update your apps, because we do update these. We're required to by Android and Mac and Windows and all that, so that we can keep up with their changes in the operating system. So we can't lag behind, or else they yank us. They'll literally take our app off of their store if we can't keep up with their technology. So we have to stay up to date. Therefore, you have to stay up to date. Now, one thing that we do is, like, whenever we do a big post, as soon as this hits, you're going to see an email hit your inbox saying, we just updated either Mac or Android or whatever it is. Make sure all your devices are updated accordingly, so that you know when there's an update that goes out there that you need to update to. So we'll let you know. But most people have it set to manual, so you'll have to go in there and click on. We have instructions on the Q&A on how to do that. So the next good question out here is from Brett, and he said, for the devices that you own, basically all the Androids that you have in a bank or whatever, can't you use the same Gmail for all your devices, since the only reason you need Gmail is to download the marketing assistant? We really don't recommend that. And John, do you want to talk about that one a little bit, on why they need a different Gmail account for each phone? John, you're on mute. You're muted, John. Okay, let me answer this real quick. So basically, you need different Gmail accounts, because it's not, in the real world, people don't share their Gmail accounts with other people who have phones. It just doesn't happen. There's things, there's records, there's backups, there's all kinds of stuff that happens on the phone. It's not just to download the app, although that's an important part of it. There's all kinds of other stuff behind the scenes that they keep track of the account. So it's not normal to have one Gmail account shared with multiple phones. Therefore, we recommend that you have one Gmail account for every single phone that you have. So like, if you're setting up a bunch of Gmail accounts, it's very easy to do. Just go out there and say trackphone1@gmail.com, trackphone2 at gmail, whatever it is, just do sequentially all the different Gmail accounts, and then write it down, document it, make sure I use the same password for all of them, so I don't have to remember them all. But do what you got to do there. But for every phone, you need a separate Gmail account, so don't make that mistake. Let's see here.
You
Chris,
covered the Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah. Here's another Wi-Fi question. Somebody asked this yesterday, and this is a good question. They said, how many devices can you get to connect to your Wi-Fi router? And so the answer is it's different for every router. So you need to look up the specifications for what brand and like make and model of your router that you have. Because I've seen some as low as like 4. So like there's a router that'll only take 4 internet connections. They're usually like kind of small. They're made for like mobile devices and things like that. So it's yours most likely has more than 4 in your home or your office. And I've seen that go some that go up to about 120. So, but it's usually around 30 to 50 for most routers. So you just kind of have to consult. John, do you have any thoughts on that?
The router I have is just the one that came with the Verizon service.
Mm-hmm.
And it's running my TVs, it's running my computers, and it's running about 25 of these, no problem.
Yeah. So if you have like 25 phones, you shouldn't run into any issues. If you start having more than that, you may have to beef up your Wi-Fi system to have that many connected at the same time. I know because we built some software that was built around, it was Wi-Fi software, and some of the restaurants had to upgrade theirs because they would have like 50 or 60 or 70 people on, or maybe even more than 100, depending on how busy it was at the restaurant. And they would have to upgrade their routers in that case. So that's kind of where I bumped into it before, is like at restaurants. So.
Another thing too, this was brought to my attention, and I hadn't even thought about it before, was every one of these devices puts off a little bit of a frequency. And if you've got a whole rack of them, you probably don't want to be sitting next to it all day, every day.
It becomes radioactive? Is it glowing in that corner?
So you might want to put, they say like 10 feet.
Yeah.
You might want to be like 10 feet from it. So I've got mine 12 feet away.
John Crago had a good idea too. He said, how about buying the phones myself and then giving my client a phone that they keep on their premises?
Oh yeah, for 20 bucks.
Idea. Now you get the best of both worlds. You own the phone, so you can manage it. It's on their premise, so they get the IP diversity, and then they don't have to worry about it because it's just plugged in somewhere in their office.
Yeah, I was going to do that. I have an opportunity to speak at a conference coming up. And what I was going to do, I was going to pitch not SitePop the software, I was going to pitch it as a boost service and run it as a boost service. And I was going to go to the conference when I do the speech, and I was going to take 20 phones with me, or 10, 20, whatever I can get my hands on. And I'm basically going to say the first 10 people or the first 20 people to put their order form in, they get a phone so they don't have to mess with it.
Yeah.
Just, for 20 bucks, I mean, to get a customer that's going to pay $100 a month for 20 bucks.
Yeah, one time 20 bucks.
It's a pretty good investment. So that makes a great bonus perk because people love to take stuff home. That's just a winner.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, like you said, if you just ship your customer a phone and say, hey, it's all pre-configured, just connect your Wi-Fi, plug it in, and just, let her rip.
All right. Now, does everybody understand how to get in and use the ticketing system for help? Because I have a few people here saying, I have a device where the app keeps crashing. It's been plugged in for a couple of days and it doesn't register the device. We can't really troubleshoot here online because it'll bore everybody. But make sure that you submit a ticket because we can help you guys with those. And some phones will not work because of 2 reasons. One is that the app, the OS on the application or on the phone itself is outdated. Second reason that we found is that it's a proprietary build of the Android operating system that you can't upgrade. So those are 2, like there's certain types of phones when you buy them, you can't upgrade it. It's just like it's stuck with a certain OS. Some Samsungs are like that, and then off brands are like that as well. So if you have one of those phones, it may not be usable because it's too proprietary.
Yeah, that's a lot of tablets are like that too.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, because I know in the beginning I found some tablets online from eBay, and I bought a bunch of these tablets, but Verizon tablets. I guess what happened was they sold all these on a year contract, and everybody brought them back, so they were dumping them.
Oh, I see.
So I got them really cheap, and they've worked for quite a while, but on the newer updates, they won't allow you to update. So it's like, okay, well, it's trash now. I got my money's worth out of it.
Gift them to the grandkids or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but now these $20 to $25 phones are working perfectly.
So there's another great question on here that I wanted to cover, and Russ was asking, can you please explain how SitePop runs a search? So I thought that's a good question, so that you guys can understand like why it works the way that it does, and why, like, when you're not ranking for a keyword, that it'll rank for the keyword and the company name kind of thing. So let's talk about that just for a second. So let me take you from step by step from the very beginning. The first thing that we do is we go to the front page of Google, and this all happens as if it's a user on their phone or on their desktop opening up a browser on Google. And then what they do is we literally type in the keyword, and we type it in using keystrokes. We don't paste it in there and then hit submit. It's not like an API call. It's not like that. It's like you type it in, and then you hit the go button or whatever, or enter or return or whatever. And then we wait for the results, and then we scroll up and down on the results like this. While we're doing a search on the back end, we take the code, we see if your root domain is found on this page. If it is, that's the keyword that's ranking. And we click on it, and we go to the website. And then when we go to the website, we stay on each page for 2 to 5 minutes. It's a random number of minutes and seconds that we do. So we'll stay on the front page, and then we'll go to like 2 or 3 inside pages, and then we'll go to the contact page, and we end on that contact page. That's why we have you put that into the settings, because we end on that page, and then we close the session, which means we close the tab or we close the entire browser. In our case, we close the entire browser, like, hey, I found what I needed, and I'm done. And so that keeps Google from thinking it's pogo sticking. And then we wait for at least 20 minutes before we do another search to make sure that Google doesn't think we didn't find what we were looking for. So we wait somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. It's still, again, it's a random number, but it's a decent amount of time. And then we open up a new browser, and we start all over again from scratch. And so that's what happens if you're ranking in the top 100, and we can find your keyword. If you're not in the top 100 listings, it's even more random than this, but I'm not going to bog you down. So if it's not found with just the keyword, then what we do is we go back, and then we pogo stick, and we go back and we say, we don't really pogo stick, it's different, but we go back and we do another search by putting in the same keyword, and then we put in the company name after that. And then we know that we're about 99.9% of the time, they're ranking on page 1 with their company name and that keyword, because the company name's in there, right? And so what we do is we'll click on that, and we'll go through the same process where we stay on the page, have a good experience, and end on the contact us page. So when you do that enough times where you do the search for the keyword, you don't find it, and you're forced to go in and put in the company name, Google will fix that by putting it in with just the keyword. So that's why we do that secondary search if you're not on the top 100 for your primary keyword. So that's how SitePop can help you rank for keywords that you're currently not ranking for. Does that help you, Russ?
Yeah, making that brand connection to keywords is really, really the backbone of this whole thing.
Yeah,
when
that's
Google,
how the big companies are doing it, from the brand searches. That's why they get ranked so well.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because once they understand that, hey, people know this brand, in their eyes, that makes you look a lot more authoritative. They would rather send their traffic to a known source than an unknown source. So if they know that people know you, you all of a sudden jump over to that known source category, and they trust you more. They are much more apt to rank you for a lot more stuff if you're in that category.
All right. So another question is, can you put in listings? Can you rank for things other than domains? And right now the answer is no, and please don't try. And the reason why is because they take a sophisticated search algorithm that's different than ours, the one that we do for domains. Like for instance, if you're trying to do YouTube, this is what's going to happen. You put in your YouTube link right there, and basically you're wanting to rank a YouTube video on Google, right? So it ranks on Google, not on the YouTube side, but on Google listings. So basically what'll happen is it'll go through there and it will find the first YouTube video, not yours. It'll find the first one and rank that one. So if you want to rank somebody else's YouTube video, go ahead, knock yourself out. They'll be very pleased that you did this for them. What we have to do is we have to go through, we have to dig deeper and find out like what the code is, some parameters on that YouTube video to make sure it's your YouTube video and not just a YouTube video. So we're going to build this in over time. We're just now kind of getting our feet under us as far as like, you know, the nearly $100,000 that we spent to get this built out for you guys. Just to be completely honest, we haven't even come close to paying for that yet. So we got to break even before we start building in some more functionality. So we started on the process, but we backed off. So the way that you guys can help us is spread the word and help us get bigger so that we can basically pay for our programmers. That would help us out a lot. And then we can start building stuff in, not just YouTube, but we're planning on doing LinkedIn. So you can rank your LinkedIn accounts on Google search. We're going to do Amazon so that you can rank inside the Amazon store. You can rank your product inside of Amazon. We're going to do Yelp. How would you like to rank for your companies for Yelp? In Yelp, not on Google. I mean, we can do that on Google too, but like in Yelp, you'll be able to rank your clients inside of Yelp. And we're going to do that for probably 2 or 3 others as well. So yeah, if you guys want to help spread the word, we'll build on that functionality as well. All right. Because we're kind of, I mean, just to kind of let you guys know, just to kind of open the kimono a little bit, that's about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of programming when we broke down the hours. So you can kind of understand why we don't just immediately say, oh, just go do it, because it's $15,000 to $20,000. So eventually we're going to get it done, but we just need more people in the system. So John and I are working our patooties off to try to get more people in the system so that we can afford it, because we want this for ourselves. Like I do e-commerce. I want this worse than anybody to rank my stuff on Amazon. But you know, I have to wait just like everybody. So just kind of give you guys a quick update there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Let's see here. A couple other questions that we had, which were really good, is do we have to end on the contact page? Now, after thinking about this at the beginning, I was thinking, no, you have to do it on the contact page. And you really don't, because some websites don't have a contact page. Like a lot of e-commerce sites, they don't have a contact page. So in that case, just kind of choose your front page or choose a page on the inside that you want to leave from. Now, somebody had the idea, well, why don't I end on a page that I want to rank higher for, like specifically e-commerce? And my first thoughts were, yeah, you could do that. And then my second thought was, if you end on that product page and you never buy it, that means that is the worst product Google has ever seen, and they're not going to rank it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would end on an irrelevant page.
Like an about page, or yeah, something that is like informational about the site, because all e-commerce sites have those. So that would be my inclination too, is just pick one of those and end on that page.
Yeah. Oh, did you talk about the agency information, the profile?
Oh yeah, thank you. Okay,
yeah,
here's the big problem.
I see one in here that, yeah.
There's a ton of people out there who have not gone to their profile and put in their company name and their company phone number and their own URL. I tried to do it as much as I could for you guys. When you guys had an email that matched your company, then I could go through there and I could do all that stuff for you. But there's a lot of them that use like Yahoo emails and Gmail addresses, stuff like that. I can't tell what your company is from Gmail. So you're gonna have to go into your profiles and fill out your profile information. That is so critical to do. Otherwise, if you have somebody install the app on one of their phones or whatever, it shows up with like website.com or google.com or something like that for your website. And your information isn't on there. So, and it also is really critical for the marketing assistants to run properly as well. So please check your profile, make sure it's all filled out. The second thing is we have a lot of people that are putting in all their keywords on one line instead of putting in one keyword per line like this. And so they'll come back and they'll say, why are my keywords not found? And I'll go look and I'm like, there's only one keyword and there's 12 keywords in that one keyword. So it's like nobody would ever type that in. So Google's not going to rank that. So make sure when you're putting in your keywords, you type in one keyword and you hit enter. And it'll open up a new line, hit your keyword, hit enter, keyword, enter. So you have one keyword per line. The next thing about keywords is that a lot of you guys are going out there and trying to rank locally, but putting in national keywords by accident. For instance, you're saying dentist near me. Don't ever put in dentist near me because everyone who searches is going to have a dentist that's near them that's more relevant. So don't put in near me keywords unless you qualify it with a city name. For instance, you can say dentist near me, Phoenix. That's totally relevant. And so make sure all of your keywords that you're doing on a local basis has a local modifier on there, which is the city name. So like if you're saying laser hair removal, don't just put in laser hair removal because that means you're trying to rank nationally for that keyword and you're just wasting your searches because you will never rank nationally with 500 searches a month. You won't even rank nationally on that with 25,000 searches per month. So, well, maybe 25,000, we'll see. But my point is that if you want to rank locally, put your local qualifiers out there because I would say more than 50% of you are trying to rank nationally for local keywords. So you need to go back and take a look at your keywords. Don't waste months of time before you figure this out. Go back and look at your keywords and make sure you have a city next to every single one of your keywords. If you don't, that means it's a national keyword. And you're probably not going to rank for those national keywords unless you're doing a lot of big stuff. And if you do have national keywords, John and I are both happy to help you guys strategize for this. Make sure you understand how many searches you're going to need to do that. Because like you saw with mesothelioma, I have a bunch of national keywords I've ranked for using this process. So I know it can be done. I've been doing it for 4 years. John and I both have been doing it for 4 years now, behind the scenes before we even built the software for you guys. So we know that it can be done. It's just kind of like it's a bigger version of what you're doing now. And so if you need some help with that, we're happy to help you.
Let's see. Another thing too, some people are going and using the password reset and not getting the email. If you guys are using like Yahoo email accounts, they're notorious for blocking emails.
Yeah, they won't send it. It's not like it's not being sent. It goes to Yahoo and then it stops right there.
Yeah, so that could be the case. If that is the case, then that's a good reason to put a support ticket in and we can reset the password for you.
Yeah, and if you're using Yahoo passwords, don't use Yahoo emails. Don't use Yahoo emails.
Somebody asked also if they could change their email address inside the back end. And you can do that, but I don't think it changes your login username.
It does, but you just have to do it through a ticket. Because I have to go into the database and change it that way, and I'm happy to do that for you guys.
Okay. But if you do it on your own, it doesn't change your login address.
No, because that's a set value that we need to kind of have in our system to kind of like see who you are, and also compare against so that nobody else has a duplicate login. Otherwise, it gets kind of mixed up that way. So but if you need that change, that's not a problem. I can manually do that for you. It's not real common when that needs to happen, but we're happy to do that.
Okay, and while we're on the email subject here, when you've got a bunch of phones, I don't know if I hit this, but this is really important. Let's say you've got 10 phones and you use the same email address for all of them, when it shows up in the back end that one of them's offline, you don't know which one it is. So what I do is I name them, like TCL1, TCL2, TCL3. And I use the email TCL1 at internetdominators.com, TCL2 at internetdominators.com. They're not real valid email addresses, but it doesn't matter because it just needs a valid email address to verify on the phone. It doesn't ever send an email to that address. So it doesn't have to be a real address. I do it that way. That way, when I look at the back end and I see, oh, TCL1's offline, I know exactly which phone to go to. The phone's labeled TCL1, and boom. So it makes it really, really easy. Let's see. The recording will be back up in the area that we showed you earlier in the members area under the training stuff. So Q&A. It'll be under the Q&A section in the training. Okay, let's see. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. We're going to see if we can get them all answered here.
So here's another one from Bob. He's saying, when you have so many devices, you mentioned 14, does that impact your Wi-Fi bandwidth? And how many can you run on one Wi-Fi? We answered that already. But basically, it takes very little bandwidth. So it's not going to eat up your bandwidth. I mean, think about how much bandwidth it takes to do one little search. It's like nothing. It's like a blip. So don't worry about your bandwidth. It's just how many devices can simultaneously be connected to your Wi-Fi unit. And you'll have to check your Wi-Fi parameters to do that.
Yeah, like to give you an idea, I've got like 25 of them running over here, and I'm running, this is a laptop that I'm on running on Wi-Fi. So it's not affecting the bandwidth at all.
Yep. Another person, Chris, was saying, I'm seeing an average session duration of 30 seconds in Google Analytics. Is that normal? Yes, because Google's on-page measurements they've been messed up from the very beginning. And it's not really messed up. They can only measure what they can measure, and they make a lot of assumptions. And so basically what they look for is for you to come back online, because sometimes when you go on the website and there's not analytics on there, then Google doesn't know how long, like if your analytics is not set up on a per page basis, it doesn't update, it doesn't send signals to the analytics on every page or something. I don't understand, but it's always wrong unless you have a special little piece of code out there that basically feeds it like spoon feeds like everything that you're doing on the website, and then it can get more accurate data. If it's a WordPress site, just look in, just do a search for a plugin that says bounce rate, and there's a bounce rate like helper. I think there's only 1 or 2 programs that are out there. I have my own code that we wrote for that, but there's one that's out there you can just download on WordPress, and it makes it way more accurate. So basically, Google just doesn't know, and that's why it's saying 30 seconds is because it's taking a guess as far as what's going on for. And plus, you have to remember that is averaged with everyone else who's visiting the site too, not just our devices. So like if you have a lot of bounce traffic where people are going on and staying for like 10 seconds, well, 10 seconds, averaged with 2 to 5 minutes that are on the site for us, it starts to go down in numbers. So you can take a look at that too.
Okay. Oh, Rick said on his the reason he wants to change it is it's showing up in his app. It's like a white label, so he wants to change it so it's a company address in the white label.
Oh, that's fine.
So that's why he was asking about.
Change that in your white label, and that's what shows is what's in your white label.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Bradley wants to know about how many phones it takes for the 500 searches, and each phone right now is sending roughly 250, and that's where we're at right now. We were trying to get it to 1, but if there's a lot of people that don't keep their devices on, so unless enough people in there or we get this built out big enough where we can sustain it, we're basically waiting to that point. So right now it's still 2 to get the 500.
So just to put in perspective, more than half of you right now have devices that go off all night. So how helpful is that when your devices are off? It's not helpful. So if you guys want to go down to 1 device, make sure you're not the one that has your computers and your phones turning off for more than half the day, because that's really what's holding us back. Because statistically speaking, 1 device should be able to handle 500 searches per month if the device is on. So that's the problem that we're having, is that the devices don't stay on. And when they do, then we can drop it down to a single device. Now, there's also one caveat too. If you only have 1 device and it goes down, that means you get no searches. If you have 2 devices that are on there, if one of them goes down, then you still are getting at least half of those searches. So it's an all or nothing when you only have 1 device on that And what happens if you're not paying attention and that device is off for a week? That means no searches for a week, and basically you're not popular anymore, and you may take a dive during that week. So it's probably in your best interest, even if we do go to a single device, to keep 2 at any given time so that you don't take a dive on accident. So that's just kind of like my preliminary thoughts on that.
It's pretty easy to get 2 devices too, because you know, almost everybody has a computer and a phone.
Yeah.
And if you don't have let's say you have an iPhone, you can get an Android phone for 20 bucks. So not really any excuse at this point.
Not a big expense. Yeah, that's right. All right. So another couple of questions is how many, let me see here. No, I guess we covered those already. That's good. Those are the same questions that we had.
Oh, here's one. Does it pay to have more than one profile pointing to, and I think they meant project. Does it make sense to point more than one project? Now, in the agency version, you can set the number of searches so you don't have to do that. If you're in the basic or the pro, you can do that. You can point more than one project to the same website. What you know, a situation where that might make sense is if you've got keywords that have massive volume and you just need more searches. You can absolutely do that. In the agency, you can send more searches to any project like that. So yes, but don't get greedy. You know, if you've got just some little podunk keyword and it doesn't get that many searches, don't barrage it with an unnatural amount. I mean, don't do stupid stuff. That just comes down to SEO. It's something about SEO triggers this mindset of greed. And I've seen this for 20 years. I've been working with people for 20 years, and they all think it's a quick bang, quick buck, you know, magic bullet type of thing. And it's not. If you want SEO, if you want free Google love and traffic, you've got to do things for the long haul. There's no quick bang for the buck. If it is, it's going to be short-lived, and that's not what you're looking for. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to drop, and then you're going to scream, and I'm going to get to listen to it. I don't want to hear it. So do things naturally.
So Ed was asking a good question. Should I set up all the on-page optimization for a client before I set up the app for them? I would say, yeah. I mean, you don't have to, but I would say that'd probably be a good practice to do, to have the on-page done before you start getting the traffic. Because Google's going to come and they're going to scan your site and things like that. And you want them to have the best information when they do that, because they may not be back around for a while. So I would say probably the best practice would be do the on-page, do the linking, and then set up the site pop stuff.
Yeah, somebody's asking about SEMrush. If there's a less expensive option.
I wish.
Yeah. Here's a way, if you want a free option, here's a way to do it. If you open up an incognito window and you do like these, I think there's a 7-day free trial. And if you use a different email address and a new incognito window, and you can do that again.
Yeah.
It's limited. You're not going to get the full, you know, the full-blown deal, but it might be good enough. It might be good enough for you for free.
Yeah.
And
once you get a couple of customers under your belt, you don't have to worry about that too much. It's just getting started is hard, and we all get that. You know, we all start at the same place, which is the bottom level, as far as like no income coming in. That's okay. We always start there. But so that might get you by for a couple of months or 3 months or even more, depending on how many emails you want to create in Google to make that happen.
Okay, somebody's asking about sharing one device across multiple projects. That just doesn't work. Like changing it from one project to the next to try and share them.
Yeah, let me tell you why that doesn't work, because there's a real practical reason. It's because you don't search for your own projects. So basically what it is we're trying to keep things so that the people who participate in the network get rewarded in the network. So by you having a device attached to your project, that means that you are rewarded 250 searches as long as that device stays on for at least a portion of the day, right? It doesn't even have to be all day right now. We're not that strict. So that being said, if you don't have devices connected, you're not participating in the network, and you don't help it. You're basically just drawing from the network without participating in it. So that's why you need to have a device connected, is so that you can participate in the network, not so that you can do searches for your project. Because everyone else does searches for you while you do searches for everyone else. It's a I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of process. And that's the important part, is that there's IP diversity, there's location diversity, there's diversity between operating systems, between different devices, all that kind of stuff. It's all very diverse, which is what you want, so that it looks completely natural and normal with Google. So that's why you don't share projects, because each project needs to have a certain number of searches, and that qualifies you to get the number of searches. I don't know if I'm explaining that one super great, but basically you have to have two devices per project to make it work properly. Hope that explains it. I know it's kind of complicated.
Okay, somebody wants to know, what's the benefit of having more than 3 devices per campaign? That's a great benefit for the network. If you're in an agency version, you could basically get more searches for that project, for sure.
Another thing is that it provides a backup, so that you're guaranteed the 500 searches for the month. So if you have 3 connected and one of them goes up and down a little bit, then what'll happen is the third one will act as a backup, and you will always get the maximum number of searches. So it could be in your best interest to have 3 devices connected and one of them serve as kind of a backup. So that's one reason to do it. Other than that, it's not a big benefit. Now, if you have bigger, like if you're an agency and you have, say, a project that needs 1,000 searches, maybe it's even 1,000 searches for even one keyword, then of course you're going to need to have 4 devices that are on there, 2 for the first 500 and 2 for the second 500. And so by having an extra one, you can basically go in there and make sure that you have that backup for the other 4 as well. So I was kind of thinking the backup stage, like I always connect another one on my side, just in case, because like when I sell this to clients, I tell them how many searches they're going to get. And if they don't get it, it's my fault because the devices went down. In some cases, I can just say, hey, your device went down on these dates. Please do better, because they have the devices on their side. And I have one client that we're doing 500 searches a month for them, and they have 7 devices connected in their office. How awesome is that? So like they always get the maximum number of searches. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Great questions though.
Yeah, yeah, this is great. I wanted to make sure that we did this again so everybody was up to speed, because we got a lot of new users, and that's great. We're building the network out, and the more of you guys that come in, the better off we all are.
Now, Greg was asking, do you need to pay a monthly fee for the phone service for each phone? No.
No, Wi-Fi.
Don't sign up. Just use Wi-Fi. That's all you need. You don't even need a phone number. You just need it using the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, correct. I know one time when I was hooking up like 10 of them at the same time, and it was almost like a assembly line. I had them all going, and I'm going through the setup process with all 10 of them. And when I was setting up the Google accounts, I got to like number 7 or 8, and then all of a sudden it wanted a phone verification. And then I had to use my regular cell phone number to do the verification. So it sent the notification to that number, worked perfectly, and I set the last, I think it was the remaining 3 up just using my own cell phone to verify. So that worked perfectly fine.
So there's a question out here. It only runs on Windows 10. No other Windows is supported. Yeah, that's because Microsoft does not support any other operating systems. So it's not an us thing, it's a Microsoft thing. In fact, Microsoft does support Windows 8 until the second week in January, and then they're going to stop all support for Windows 8. So we didn't feel like it was worth investing the money and the effort into supporting Windows 8 for just like a couple of months. So yeah, Windows 10 is the only supported operating system for Microsoft, and so that's the only one that we can do.
Yeah, so John says 10 cheap phones, no problem, as long as they're the ones we totally recommend. And again, this is what I've been using. Track phone TCL LX. You can pick these things up for 20 to 24 bucks. Here's the exact same thing, just different packaging, but it's the TCL LX. There's also a TCL One, I believe, which they're almost identical.
Yeah.
But these LXs, they actually come put together. I think the TCL ones, you have to assemble them. You have to put
Yeah.
the battery in, put the back on. These, I opened it up. I'm like, oh, this thing's all ready to go. You just hit the
Plug and
button,
go.
turn
Yeah.
it on. So those have been working really, really well.
So another question that we get a lot too is I get a lot of people. I had 3 of them this morning saying, "Hey, I don't have searches on my account yet." And when I go back, they just connected it. So give it a full day of 24 hours for us to get in the system, because we only schedule a couple times during the day, like for searches. And so we say, okay, what phones are operational? So that basically kind of gives us an idea of how many searches we can do. And then we go out there and we schedule as many as we can based on how many phones are out there. And then we do it again in the afternoon as well. So we do it like 1 o'clock in the morning, then we do it like at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, something like that. And so usually 2 or 3 in the afternoon, there's more phones that are on, so we can do more scheduling. But sometimes if you miss that, it may be until the next day until you see searches happening. So give it a full 24-hour cycle before you start coming back to us and saying, hey, there's no searches yet. And I know you guys are anxious just like we are, but it just has to like fall into the bucket, because there's so many moving pieces. I mean, we have 5 apps that we're supporting to do this, actually 4 now. There's 4 apps that we support to do this, and each one of them have to synchronize. And then we have the server app that has to, it's like the brains of the whole system that makes sure that it's all gonna, function and do things at the right times for the right reasons, and communicate with every device that's out there every 5 minutes. And it's just a massive process. So just give it some time, and you'll see it the next day.
Yeah, that's there's somebody in Australia, in the OZ, I guess that's Aussie. They want to know where to buy the phones. Amazon is a good source. I think they ship worldwide. eBay is another one. I don't know if they've got Walmarts and Targets over there, but if so, you could probably find in there. So that might be a good
I'm gonna jump and get my plug for my computer.
good place. Okay. All right, guys. So anything else? Oh, he says no Walmarts and Targets in the OZ. But yeah, you might have to just get them online. And we've got some links in there in the profile in the support area. So you might check that. All right, guys, anything else? If there's anything else we missed, go ahead and put it in. Go ahead and pop in if you got any other questions. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We've been on here for hour and a half now, so I don't want to get this too long. But if there's any last minute stuff before we tie this up, let us know here. Okay, that's a good one, Matt. What happens when Google rank doesn't match what's showing up on the app? That's a pretty common thing, because what happens, the rank that's showing on the app is the last searcher that ran that search. It's showing where it was found. So different devices will show different things in different parts of the country. So depending on where the search came from and all that, I know we do a lot of searches from local, but as those rings go out, we go out and out further and further to run searches. So wherever the last search was found, that's what's reporting on the rank. It doesn't mean that you're going to see it in the exact same spot when you run it on your device or your laptop or whatever. And the other thing about that, there was something else about that, Chris. What was it about the rank?
So basically, it'll be more diverse at the beginning because you're not ranking, it hasn't solidified yet. So it's going to be all over the place with Google at the beginning. As you have more searches that are happening, it'll go up to the top, and it'll start narrowing and be more accurate as time goes on.
Oh, and also it's showing you what page it's on.
Yeah, not the
It's
rank.
not the rank, it's the page that it's ranking on. So we're shooting for page 1 rankings here. So if it's showing a 4, that means you're on page 4. So it's not for, the 4th slot on the first page, that's page 4. So that's an important thing to understand when you're looking at that.
So Chris was asking, he says, just for kicks, a question here. 5,000 searches per month on a keyword. Would 500 searches per month be enough, assuming links and on-page optimization was taken care of? You might have mentioned some guidelines earlier that I missed. So let's just talk about those guidelines a little bit. So the way I see it is that, like, when I look at a keyword and I say, let's just take a round number, 1,000. So there's 1,000 total searches for a month on a keyword. That would be a lot for a local keyword. Sometimes there's 2,000 or 3,000. It depends on how big the city is, of course. But just say, let's just say that there's like 1,000. So out of 1,000, you want at least 50 to 60% of those. So that's what I do is I say, okay, if there's 1,000, I need 500 searches for this keyword. And then if you have 50% of everybody looking for you, you're by far the most popular person. Because out of those 1,000 keywords, it's going to like maybe 30 or 40 sites. So each one of them are only getting a small percentage of those. If you're getting 50% of all the searches, it's pretty normal. It's not going to raise red flags. It's not everybody searching for you because that's not normal. But if half of the people are looking for you, you're by far the most popular person that's out there, by far. So I usually gauge it between 50 and 70%, depending on how aggressive I want to be.
Yeah, the other thing about that is if you've got good optimization and you're already ranking and you've got traction and all that, you might need way less than that to actually do the job.
That's true. So you can add more keywords to your project. Here's another problem that we run into. Just because you can put 12 keywords in doesn't mean you should put 12 keywords in. And the reason that we say that is because if you have 12 keywords, that means you're only getting about 80 searches per keyword. Now, is that 80 searches going to cover that keyword? Some cases, yes. Some cases, no. So that's where if you don't have an account that's an agency account, that's why you may want to run 2 different projects for one project.
It's actually 40.
Oh, is it only 40? Oh, yeah.
If you've got the full 12 keywords in there, it's dividing into 500, so that's like 40.
Oh, so that's not enough to carry most keywords. So even just because you can put in 12 doesn't mean you should. I personally only put in 3 keywords. When I do local searches, I only put in 3, sometimes even 1.
Yeah.
500 searches, depending on how big the city is.
Yeah, and the other way to look at that is if you're really kind of timid, like you don't want to do anything radical, then I would say put the 12 in and just let it do its magic, because what it's doing, it's going to take now those 12 variations and it's going to take the variations of your brand and it's going to start making those connections. And whether it's pushing the keywords up that you have in there or not, it's still doing the magic. The magic is connecting your brand to various keywords. And when that happens, remember like I said, that's where it gives you that credibility, that authority, and that popularity. And what could happen is you could potentially rank for hundreds of keywords by doing that. It might not be the ones that are in the app, but it could potentially be hundreds of others that you could do that with. Then once you get that base, then you can go back and you can pluck some of them out and then start hitting it pinpoint. And you could start pushing it up that way. But I always tend to go milder on things and focus more on long term than trying to jack something up in the first 3 days. I've seen it work though. We've seen people that had agency and they poured a ton of searches on a particular keyword, and it does work. I mean, there's no doubt it works both ways. I'm just very cautious and always have been, so I just take a milder approach on it. So Chris is doing a little more aggressive stuff. He'll use 3. I might throw 5, 6 in.
It just depends on the keywords though. So you don't want to do too much, you don't want to do too little. That's why you need to know That's what SEMrush kind of comes in good for, is it'll tell you how many keyword or how many searches are happening per month. So you can make some really good estimations in there. But you really can't go wrong if you put in 3 to 5 keywords into there and you run 500 searches. You're not going to get in trouble for that. That's not excessive.
Yeah. And also, if you're just running it on a regular project, that's a case where you could run just one device on it if you just wanted 250.
Yeah.
So.
Now I'm going to put in, now one of you guys mentioned, let me see here, that you're like, oh, bummer, I had a bunch of laptops I was going to use for this, and now I can't use them. And that's totally untrue. So basically, if you have computers all sitting around, like in this room, I have 9 computers in this room that I'm sitting in right now. And I use them all for devices. And some of them are Mac and some of them are PC, some things like that. I'm going to put in right now, I just hit go, a place where you can go get Windows 10 licenses for 13 bucks. So spend the 13 bucks, upgrade your laptops from Windows 8 or whatever it is to Windows 10, and then run this. So that's cheaper than a phone. 13 bucks is cheaper than 30. So now you can reclaim these old devices. You can upgrade them to Windows 10, and then off you go. I've used these licenses for years now. They work. They seem legit. I don't know. I mean, I buy them. And I've never had a problem with them. So I think they just buy them in bulk, and so they sell them one at a time. It says my laptops only have 1 to 2 megs of RAM. Well, good luck with that. I don't know.
I don't even remember a laptop made with that.
I know. You can try it. I don't think it'll run. I don't think any Windows will run on 2 megs. So.
No, Windows itself doesn't run on 2 megs.
No, those laptops are probably too old. Yeah.
I remember the days. I remember the days when the megabytes, you could buy megabyte memory chips for about $100 a meg.
Yeah.
I remember buying an 8 meg chip for $800.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a big deal too.
Yeah. I was like, that was the shit. I had 8 megs.
So here's another good question. It says, what would you suggest for keywords with very low search volume, like 10 to 40 searches a month? I would say just ignore them. I mean, why even go after 10 to 40 searches a month? I mean, if you want to rank for those, just put them in the list with your other stuff. I mean, who cares if you get 100 searches for it in a month? Big deal. If it's 10 to 40 searches, they're like nothing.
Yeah, that's a perfect case where just load up all 12 and let her run.
Yeah, just line them up.
Yeah.
Let them run. And then, of course, if you're running, you're probably going to get those anyway if you're doing the bigger keywords. Because remember, we showed you that example of they're marketing for 5 keywords and they got 184.
Mm-hmm.
So just market heavy for the top 5 keywords and don't worry about the rest. Don't trip over nickels there, because the others will all come up automatically if you have your on-page optimization done right. Because Google has to know what keywords they should rank for. So if they're not on your website, you will never rank for them. So just make sure your on-page is good, market for 5 keywords, and boom, go crush it.
Yep, that's true.
Okay.
All right, are we getting to the end of the rainbow here?
I think so.
I think we're good. I can't think of anything else that's real relevant, pertinent. I think we've hit just about everything that's important.
Yeah, let's cut it off because I got to go listen to this all over again and write up all the questions that we covered.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for being here. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the questions. You had all the right questions. This is it. It helps us do our Q&A. So.
Yeah, thanks for being part of this, because selfishly speaking, John and I love you because we rank our keywords because you're on, and vice versa. You rank because we're on. And so it's like a big family thing. So we appreciate being part of the SitePop family so that we can all help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. If we don't talk before then, you guys have a great holiday season and kick the new year off with a bang. 2020. Wow, hard to believe. All right, guys. Well, happy holidays, and we will talk to you soon. If you have any trouble, put a ticket in. We'll get you handled.
All right. Stay cool, guys.
Bye-bye.